Salutations, fellow readers! I'm going to take you through my entire book collection shelf by shelf to find books to donate, so that this video will function like an unofficial home library tour as well as an unhaul. No hate at all to the creators or fans of the books I'm going to be decluttering. I have 4 bookcases total, 2 with 7 shelves each and 2 with 6 shelves apiece, for a total of 26 shelves. I'm not expecting to get exactly 1 book per shelf, but I would like my overall total to be 26 books. My books are organized by genre. I put the unread books within their respective genres, facing pages out instead of spine out, as a visual flag to myself that I need to read them. Exceptions include if they have really pretty sprayed edges on the pages I wanted to display, and my nonfiction reference shelf, because I need to have the spine facing outward regardless of whether I've read them or not in order to have that rainbow effect. Come on, let's get started. This is my beautiful book collection that I am proud of and grateful for. Let's go from left to right, top to bottom. The bottom shelf is art books and photo albums, so I'm not anticipating getting rid of any of these, but my rainbow of nonfiction, I'll probably declutter a few because I don't reread nonfiction very often. This book is about teaching healthy boundaries with physical touch to young children, and it has great photographs, but the actual text isn't that impressive. I'll put on the screen a book that I think is a better recommendation for that topic. I don't think I need this classroom resource anymore. Okay, on my last unhaul, you may remember I considered getting rid of Earthing, which is one of my favorite nonfiction books. It's about the importance of walking shoeless on the bare earth. I still think it's a great book. I don't need to read it again, and I was keeping it to pass it on to the right person, but should just put it in donation, and I think maybe the right person will find it. This is a really good biography about J.R.R. Tolkien, but I've already read it twice and I don't think I'll read it again. That might be it for now. Let's move up to the graphic novels. These are the lighthearted ones and these are the more dark, serious ones. El Deafo by Cece Bell is a really great memoir told in graphic novel format about a child who needs hearing aids. The problem is that I got this copy as a library discard because of how beaten up it is, and I think I would rather have a nice copy of it. This is my suspense area. It's got mystery, thriller, horror. These are some favorites. Death Note is the only story I've ever enjoyed that had a very strict hard magic system. You know, even though The Darkness Outside Us is one of my favorite books, the sequel, The Brightness Between Us, I didn't like as much. So even though this duology goes together really well with the titles and the covers being super beautiful and suitable, I just didn't connect with the sequel as much. The first book was really gripping and single perspective. The second book had 4 points of view, and we knew how 2 of the 4 stories were inevitably going to end because of information we had from book 1. So it just wasn't as exciting. I also didn't care for all the perspectives either. That's a preference for me. I tend to dislike more than 3 perspectives. An exception could be some epic fantasy series, but overall, that's just a me thing. And the first book was originally written as a standalone, so I can get rid of the second one and not miss anything. I will say it's a little sad to get rid of such a beautiful book, though, but somebody else will appreciate it more. This bottom shelf is children's fiction. We've got realistic on the left and fantasy, fairy tales, and fables on the right. I wonder if there's any that I'm not gonna read again. The Marvin Redpost series by Sachar is a really cute primary grade series that I've read more than once and enjoyed, but I think it might be better to give it to a child to enjoy nowadays. I'm kind of tempted to keep the flying birthday cake one, though. That one's my favorite. It's when he thinks his classmate is an alien, but it would give us a a whole 8 more books towards our goal of 26 if I were to get rid of these. I have not yet read The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton as an adult, and I would like to, but if I do read it, I don't really want to read this physical copy because, for one thing, it has real people on the cover, which is not my favorite. But more importantly, I didn't realize this when I picked it up secondhand. It's got handwritten and highlighted notes throughout the book. And I know some people think it's fun to read other people's annotations as they read, but I personally would find it distracting. So if I ever do reread it, I'm not going to read this copy. The Billy Goat's Gruff is not one of my favorite fairy tales. I'm more of a Rumpelstiltskin and Hansel and Gretel kind of a person. It's cute, but I don't like it enough to keep a separate physical book. If it was just one of the stories in an anthology, that'd be cool, but I'm not going to keep a separate book of it. All the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss, I was really just keeping for the artwork. I just don't reread it out loud to preschoolers, the target audience, because it's honestly too long and they don't want to sit still for the whole thing. So there's no point in keeping this book just for the pictures when I have other illustrated versions that I like the artwork more, and I do read them out loud to kids. I phased Robin Hood out on the children's shelf since I've decluttered so many. I wanted to keep those books upright so they don't fall over. This is my science fiction shelf. It's mostly dystopian, since that's my favorite subgenre of sci-fi. This is the Pendragon series that I need to read. All right. The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I love the first book. I've actually read it twice, but the second book annoyed me so much that I still have not read the third book, even though I read some of the novellas that go with the series, which means I'm nowhere close to reading The Darkest Legacy, which is the sequel. And while I do want to finish the trilogy at some point and know how it ends, I'm just not motivated to do it anytime soon because of how annoyed book 2 made me. So even though I have this nice hardcover, I should pass it along to someone else. I think we can skip the epic fantasy shelves and the signed paperbacks to go to my shelf that's fantasy without romance. Let's see, Bartimaeus is one of my favorites. I love Matilda. The Prosper Redding duology by Alexandra Bracken is a tough call because I did really enjoy the first book. It's a very fun book for autumn. It's set in Massachusetts in October with some spooky vibes and comic relief when it's all being decorated for Halloween. The problem is it ends on a big cliffhanger, and I didn't enjoy the second book in the duology as much because it introduces a whole bunch of new lore and new characters, and it feels very smushed together. So I think I would have liked it better if Prosper Redding was a trilogy, so that way the stuff from book 2 could have been expanded, or a lot of the stuff from the second book could have been cut, and you could have just published it as one single standalone. And I've been keeping this duology because I did enjoy the first one and I could see myself rereading it, but I don't particularly want to reread the second book, although its cover is super awesome. I probably should pass this along to someone else. Wayside School and the Secret series are some of my favorites. Everyday Angel by Victoria Schwab. It's a really cute, wholesome story about a female angel trying to earn her wings by helping some young girls that are humans, right, deal with their problems. The cast is primarily female. There's no romance. It's really wholesome and heartwarming stuff that I think a young girl would really enjoy reading. It's super different from the spooky type of stuff that Victoria Schwab normally writes. I will probably keep the rest of these, and the top shelf is some favorites I'll be keeping. So this bookcase is done. I don't know if I would get rid of any books on this bookcase because it has so many favorites. The top shelf has my Arthurian retellings and some art books back there. I probably wouldn't reread The Wicked Day, but I did get The Wicked Day by Mary Stewart used from somewhere because it's got these kind of water stains on it. It's about Mordred from the Arthurian legends, and so it's his life from his point of view. I appreciated what the author was trying to do, but the ending was very weird because it was trying to keep with the original lore, but with the other things that had happened, it didn't make sense. It was trying to make both Arthur and Mordred sympathetic, and I don't think that it worked all that well. So even though I like some of Mary Stewart's other Arthurian retellings, this one just isn't one that I would read again. All right, last bookcase. We start with straight fantasy romance on the bottom. I think I do want to reread all of these again. I only enjoyed one book in the Den of Shadows quartet, which is Midnight Predator, and that's the only book out of the 4 that doesn't have romance, but I still want to keep it for that. Probably wouldn't reread City of Masks, the first book in the Stravaganza series that works as a standalone by Mary Hoffman, even though I did really enjoy it. These 2 shelves are queer fantasy romance, so I'll probably leave those alone. I love fantasy so much. This shelf is historical romance, straight on the left and queer on the right. I've never read a book by this author before. I wanted to give it a try because it's about the Native Americans helping the Irish during the potato famine, and I've never read a historical fiction that takes place during that event, and because I'm of Irish descent, I'm interested, but maybe I'd be better off reading a book about that that's not a romance. This is my contemporary romance shelf. I've obviously read them all, but let me see if I would reread all of them. I did really enjoy Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, but I didn't like the sequel as much. Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I do remember thinking it would be a funny book for people who want some sapphic teen fiction for some readers, but for myself, I found the characters and their relationship to be pretty forgettable, especially after how charming the first book in the series was. So if I remove that book, it gives me some space for some new books, and it's easier to see my Yuri on Ice characters. This is my poetry. The gilded book is Shakespeare. I feel like I have too many unread poetry books because I don't read poetry that often, even though I do like it. I know you can't see the titles, but I do know what they are. This is Faust, which I do really want to read, this epic poem, but I have a digital ebook copy of it, so I could still read it that way. And if I do wind up loving it, I would obviously want to buy myself a physical copy that has a nicer cover than this. So I'll just move this Emily Dickinson over so you can't see the shoebox that I use to have my Monet displayed on top. There we go. The magic of display. All right, this is what we've got so far. Remember that the goal was 26, so let's count and see how many we've got. There's 25! So close! You know what? I'm determined. I'm gonna go get another one. I know I'd skipped the epic fantasy books initially, but I think I could get rid of Bilbo's Last Song. I was only keeping it for the illustrations because the lyrics themselves are within the series, and I have other illustrated Tolkien books, so I don't need this one. Now we've done it! 26 books exactly! Woohoo! I'm really proud of myself, and I'm glad I got to share this with you. Of course, when I'm boxing my books up for donation, my little companion hops right into the box. Don't you, sweetheart? Hurricane, can I please use this box? I'll have to get another box for you. Oh, thank you. You're so helpful. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Comment below. Tell me how you organize your books. Like if you want me to make more videos like this. Subscribe so you don't miss the next bookish video from me, because that's the best way to support me. Happy reading!